This is Don here. Well, I think a better way than writing is doing these recordings. So everybody seems to be in some type of social mm, mood to share all kinds of things on Facebook. So maybe I'll do this here as a recording, which I think is better for me. Right at the present time, I'm living in Mexico, as all of you know, but I'm getting a little fearful and lonely. Uh, I had a fall last week on my back. Had a really bad fall, and it was very, very sore. I could barely walk. I could barely do anything. And my back gives me trouble anyhow, and my legs give me trouble. I have a hard time walking. And this made it worse. And it makes me sort of think, you know, when you're old, and I am old, 85, you know, you don't have too many years left. I'd hate to harp on it. I know for most of you that's not a problem. You don't sit around and think about that. But when you're my age, you do. You think about it. And so I have an opportunity. I'm a veteran of the Second World War. I have an opportunity to enter into a retirement community. I'll call it retirement community is a good label. And after my fall, and I couldn't go out, I couldn't shop, I couldn't walk around and things like that. It made me think, what's going to happen when this becomes a sort of a permanent reality? Because I live in Mexico by myself. I live in this apartment alone. There's no other person. So if I cannot take care of my needs, they are not taken care of. It would be nice if I had somebody, you know, an ex-wife or one of my children, sort of looking in on me and making sure I'm okay. And but I was thinking that I need to go to this retirement place. It's in Barstow, and I don't know if you know anything about Barstow. It's in California, and Barstow is a town just on the edge of the Mojave Desert, and it, it's not like it's a lonely little town. It's a sort of a big town. It's surprising to me in California how the urban area stretches all the way from the ocean all the way to the Mojave Desert. And so this Barstow is a fairly good town, and there's towns all next to it, like a continuous city, all the way from the ocean. And I'm not particularly pleased with the climate there. In the summertime, it can be 110 in the shade. No, 110. And in the wintertime, you can get down to the 40s, which is kind of a little cold. It's not going to snow. It generally doesn't snow in that area. But I'm not too pleased about that. And I'm not too pleased with the attention I get from the people there. It seems like they don't have a very long staff, a very large staff. I call them, and they never answer. Uh, so they say, I'll call you back. Oh, I love those type of things. You never can get hold of anybody, and it's a sort of an indication that maybe they don't have too good a staff. But I like to go there mainly because it provides me with a nice place to live. I have to share a apartment uh, with another person, and of course I get all my meals and everything that I need is taken care of. The medical if I need it, so it's like a general retirement home. that you would, stay in. And the cost is really good because I'm a veteran. It is a veteran facility. I just pay up to 50% of my Social Security. They just don't take it all. I'm glad of that. Uh, and it's a good deal. I mean, and the other part of that is not only the safety of health, things like that, it's a community. It's a community of retired people, of people like me. Some of them are on their deathbed, but there's a community of people who stay there, and there's activities and things that you can be with. Uh, so I'm thinking about it, but then I think of Mexico. I spent a long time in Mexico, actually, not continuously, but off and on for the last 25 years, the last 10 years continuously here in Mexico City. And I like Mexico. It really surprisingly reminds me of my childhood. I mean, from birth up to a teenager. But at that time for me, it was a time of the Depression. And so people struggled to make a living and have all the things they need. But that's not the only part of it, because there is a great deal of poverty. Mexico is not like the United States, thank goodness, in many ways. And I would like to add a remark here. I think, when I was a kid, I liked it. People were more community oriented, seemed to be involved in each other's life. There wasn't a lot of cars and shopping centers. There was little shops within the block where you lived. It was more or less a nice, close community. And I liked that atmosphere. You even had vendors come around selling vegetables and different things that you need for the household. In many ways, it's the same way it is in Mexico at the present time. And I like that. That feeling of community, instead of everybody jumping in the cars, not talking to each other, going to a shopping center and rapidly picking up this, picking up that, and then going home. Uh, it's okay. I did it many times and many years myself. But Mexico has me spoiled. Another way that Mexico has me spoiled, I'm treated as an adult. Now, that might be difficult for you to understand, but I think that today people are treated like children. You have so many parental laws. You've got to wear your helmet, and you've got to fasten your seatbelt, and don't use your phone, and all that thing. Cross at the corner, don't cross it, all that. Well, I know how bad it is. When I used to go back to America, I used to sort of go into culture shock. What laws am I going to break today? You know, and in Mexico it was like mainly who's going to try to stop me and get money from me. But that's a different story. Okay. So in Mexico, for example, uh, they have seatbelt laws and helmet laws and crossing street laws and all that, but it's regarded more as a suggestion. It's not an absolute. I mean, if you, many times I walk across the street any place I want to, and a cop standing there looking at me doing it, and nothing is said. And the attitude I get is that you're an adult. If you want to walk in the middle of the street like that and maybe get hit, that's your problem. It's not my problem. I can remind you of the law, but then you know the law, you know the risk you're taking, and that's it. And I'm not going to come and beat you over the head because you cross in the middle of the street. Now that sounds far-fetched, but my son sent me a video one time, not a video, maybe it's an email, of that happening in New York City. A guy in New York City he didn't speak English. He didn't know the laws essentially, of New York, and he crossed the street in the middle of the block. And I'm sure the policeman yelled at him. That's an indication. Yelled at him, and of course he didn't understand the language and didn't understand the laws. And you know, the policemen don't give you any room. There is no gray area as far as they're concerned. So they beat the guy over the head and knocked him out, hurt him. You know, he didn't know what was happening to him. Well, I think that's a little too abrupt, too extreme. And so, you know, rather than give you the benefit of the doubt, you're an adult, they treat you like you're children. Put on your safety belt. Using your phone in the car will put you in jail for that. All that kind of stuff is nonsense. It's not needed. I don't see a lot of accidents in Mexico because somebody's using their phone. I don't see people run down in the middle of the street because they crossed in the wrong place. In many ways, think about this. If you don't have absolute rules, say the red light, you've got to stop the red light, you're more cautious because you come to the red light and you don't know if that guy across the street from you or to your side is going to go through or not. So you are cautious. But in America, everybody relies on everybody obeying the law. Absolutely. No question. The guy has a corner there. You know, he has a red light. I got a green light, so I got no problem. Well, that's not true. Okay? It's not true. You do have a problem. You have to drive defensively. So anyhow, these are little things that bother me about going back to America. Here, I feel like an adult. I have greater freedom, you know, and besides, the weather's great. Spring-like weather year-round here in Mexico City. So I'm weighing all these things, you know, looking at my options and seeing what I want to do. Okay, this is partly done for my son, so I'm going to put it on his Facebook, so he'll get an explanation of what I'm doing. My son did visit me in Mexico. He loves it. And I just wish he would come here and stay with me and enjoy this great country. Okay, see you folks. Nice talking to you.